This tank behind me is a mess. It's a mess because I had to move plants and move decor to catch an eye biter. I talk in a lot of my videos about African cichlids having this little switch in their brain, and when it flicks, you know, when that switch happens, it's like all bets are off. And I had something like that happen with the eye biter. He was being very mellow, very peaceful as far as eye biters go. I came down the stairs this morning and my Buccochromis spectabellus was actually upside down, and it's still alive but upside down and still colored up, but not looking too good. He did have a little bit of fin damage, so it looked like he had been chased. The other fish were looking okay, but I noticed that the eye biter was darting around crazily. I tried everything I know. I covered up the pit in the back center of the aquarium with substrate. That didn't work. I covered it with rocks. Then there was another pit in the back corner that he moved to. I covered that one up with substrate, and that didn't work. He kept darting around and shimmying and acting crazy. And so I had no choice but to pull him out and put him into the divided 55-gallon aquarium. The new aquariums are built up on the bottom. In other words, they have those reinforcement strips of glass that frame the bottom. And so when you put something in there as a divider, it sits a little higher. So my divider isn't sitting in there right. It's designed for aquarium tanks. I'd probably have to cut an inch off the top of it to get it to fit one of the glass cages tanks. But that's where he's going to be for a while until he calms down. I don't believe in timeouts. I think timeouts don't work. I think if a fish is a real lunatic, he's going to remain a lunatic. But after his anal fin loses the black coloration, which means that he's fired up, and he starts to look a little bit more normal and act a little more normal, I'll put him back in and see if that makes a difference. If he loses his mind again, off to the local fish store. I'm not going to allow him to hurt any other fish. I suspect what happened, because when I was observing him, he would chase fish and he would nip them a little bit, but I think he might have caught the Buccochromis against a wall. In other words, hit him in a way that damaged the swim bladder, and that's really hard to come back from. And so even though he's alive, he can't flip over. He just remains upside down. And even when I put him between a couple supports, eventually he just flips over again. So it's not looking too good for that fish. And so there you go. Anyone who keeps African cichlids knows that you have to be on your toes constantly, really observing closely, because they do lose their minds. They do go into some kind of a crazy breeding behavior. I don't know what triggered it. I hadn't done a water change. I hadn't done any changes to the tank. Sometimes that'll trigger it, right? There was nothing that occurred that would have set off a cichlid normally, but it happened. And so now I have him in solitaire. I'll let the other fish catch their breath, let things settle down. In the meantime, I've got the Buccochromis in a bucket with a little bit of salt, and just see if he can maybe catch his breath and come back. But usually the swim bladder injuries, I haven't really seen any fish come back from something like that, and it's a shame because he's a beautiful fish. So that's the update. Not the most upbeat update, but I always like to keep it real with you, and that's part of keeping big cichlids, in particular big African cichlids that can often just go complete serial killer on you. The only thing you can do is just stay really sharp and alert, and take all the steps that you know, and if those don't work, be willing to pull that fish out. And that's what I had to do. All right? Comments, tips, ideas, share them below. I read as many as I can. Thank you for tuning in. That's it for me. Bye-bye for now.